Super Rugby Power Rankings, folks. After 11 rounds of the competition, I feel like there's a pretty clear pattern right now with the Chiefs and the Crusaders seemingly a cut above everyone else. The Brumbies and the Reds look at the best two of the Aussie teams, and then there's a bunch of teams in the middle who could potentially fight it out for those last couple of playoff spots, 5th and 6th. But we'll go through the power rankings. You guys can let us know your thoughts on how you would rank them. And we'll go from there. We'll start with 11th, and it's still the Drua. You feel like they had a chance up against Moana Pacifica this weekend just gone. Not the highest ranked of opposition, and it's the last team the Drua managed to beat on the road a couple of years ago now. But no, pretty well beaten after their initial attacking efforts were repelled by the Moana defenders. So, yeah, 35-15. Glenn Jackson will be pretty frustrated with how that's gone. They are back home next round and certainly could use a win. Another side who's not in the best of form is the Highlanders. Got pretty well crunched by the Crusaders at home. They chucked wave after wave at the Crusaders but failed to break them down. So their record, the Highlanders, barring that win over the Drua, recently is also not looking that great. Their record is 3 wins, 7 losses, so 43-10 against your southern rivals was never going to be a happy place. They are down 1 spot on the power rankings. And then my Blues, goodness me, did I have them overranked last time? I genuinely thought the Blues might begin to find some form. They beat the Hurricanes, they beat Moana, just barely lost to the Crusaders, who were high-flying down in Christchurch. So you're thinking, that's not too bad a loss. You can live with that. Go away to Queensland, pretty well beaten. Despite the red card, despite getting held up and TMO'd and whatnot, Reds the better team. So the Blues are down a whopping 3 spots. Same record as the Landers, 3 and 7. Then Moana Pacifica, who I feel like is one side that, like, if you were to ask most neutrals, who would you like to see make the playoffs? A lot of people would answer Moana Pacifica. They're still a really fun side to watch this year, and Artie, well, they look better every time Artie's playing. Like, he didn't play against the Blues, and you feel like it showed. So if they can keep Artie fit and firing, they'll be giving it a good push anyway. But yeah, it is going to be competitive for that 6th spot. They got the win over the Drua, which is what they needed. They got a bonus point in that game too, which is going to give them a real push going forward. Then the Tars. Moana's up 2. The Tars are up 1 despite going on the bye. Mainly because the Blues are rubbish. The Blues have dropped below them. That sends the Tars up. So, yeah, well done, Tars. On the bye, if you guys can get your away form sorted, you guys might push for the playoffs as well. But the Tars, I feel like, have got a harder run-in than some of the other sides in their playoffs push. Then the Force in 6th, pretty well hammered by the Chiefs at Bay Oval. They need some points against the Blues this week, which puts me in a bit of a pickle because I would love to see the Force make the playoffs. They've never done it before. In all the years of their existence in Super Rugby, never made the playoffs. That's a long stuff. Like for any like fans of whatever team, like Canes fans, Blues fans, Highlanders fans, for Tars fans, whatever. Like for how as bad as our teams have been, we've at least won Super Rugby at some point. Force fans, long-suffering, have never even made the playoffs. Would love to see the Force make the playoffs, but I also don't want the Force to take any points off the Blues this week. So that's awkward. I mean, I guess if we are going to lose, there could be worse teams to lose to than the Force. But I feel like the Force are going to be pretty massive underdogs at Eden Park. But that's where they are, down 1 spot in the power rankings. The Canes are up 2. On the power rankings, their win over the Brumbies was perhaps a bit unexpected because they were big-time underdogs for that one. First Kiwi side to win across the ditch this year. So that is a big performance from them as well. And the Brumbies were in fine form going into that game as well. So that puts a little bit of a dent in their campaign. And then the Reds, with their win over the Blues, they stick in 4th spot. Not quite enough to pass the top 3 sides. But remember, the Reds have got a game in hand on some of the teams that they are chasing. Top 3 is still the Brumbies, despite their loss. But as I said, like if you were just looking at the pure records of the team, the Brumbies don't have as good a record as the Reds in terms of wins-loss. Like they've both won 6, but they've lost 4, the Brumbies. The Reds have only lost 3. But that Reds game, the extra one, hasn't been played yet, so we don't know if it'll be a win or a loss. Then the Chiefs, still in second on the power rankings despite the big home win over the Force. Crusaders still in first with a big away win over the Landers. The only thing I don't really like about the power rankings this week is they're pretty boring because it's almost the same as the table. The way I calculate the power rankings is supposed to be putting more emphasis on recent results, big margins, beating strong opposition, and it usually has a few, I feel like the Blues recently had a higher spot in the power rankings than their table position, which I thought was fair at the time. The only thing that's different this week from the table is the bloody Crusaders, and the Chiefs are around the other way, because I think the Crusaders are also in pretty good form, but yeah, that sucks. I like it to be more divergent from the actual table, but this is more or less a replication of the table, which doesn't happen that often, so I'll put my hands up, but that's just the way the numbers have spat them out. So apologies for that, but we'll see how things go next week, see if my Blues can go back up, if they can manage to beat the Force, but I am certainly not counting any chickens. You guys let us know your thoughts on the power rankings. Who would you be ranking top right now? Crusaders or Chiefs, and who's the top Aussie team between the Reds and the Brumbies? Take care, folks, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.